Hey YouTube, Brian LCS, thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, The Amazing Spider-Man number 31 review. Now this is Legacy issue number 925. It is an oversized issue. I guess Marvel's looking to, every 25 issues consider it a milestone issue, so that's why we have an oversized. So we're going to get in, this may, run a little bit longer, but we're going to get into the main story and some of the other stories that are important to the book. We're going to do spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you may want to tune away. But the main story is written by Zeb Wells and art by John Romita Jr., and we have the wedding of Randy Robertson, Peter Parker's roommate and friend, to Tombstone's daughter, Janice, who is also the Beetle, supervillain the Beetle. So let's jump in. We start off with Tombstone holding a meeting with a bunch of the crime families in New York City, and basically says he requests their presence at the wedding and he doesn't want any problems. And the group, kind of led by Hammerhead, is kind of questioning, everything that's going on. There's rumors that the Kingpin could be coming back, or and there could be a power struggle between the crime families because Tombstone is kind of has been in charge now for a little bit. But all of the other crime families basically agree to be there and not cause any problems. But it looks like Hammerhead is up to something. And then we cut to the bachelor party or bachelorette party for Janice. And she's out with a bunch of friends, basically celebrating her last night as a single woman. And so they're at some club and drinking and dancing. And then we cut to Randy and Peter, and they're not having such a great time. They're in Atlantic City, and they're wearing matching hoodies. I guess that was the theme for their bachelor party. And Randy's a little upset because some of the other folks' friends that Peter invited did not show up. So we're kind of this cutting back and forth between the two different extremes here. The girls having a great time and the guys not having such a great time. And we see that the Black Cat shows up for the bachelorette party. And like I said, the girls are having fun, dancing, drinking. And meanwhile, Peter and Randy are just kind of discussing things. And Peter's basically saying, look, this is my fault that nobody else showed up. I was late and I didn't get to call out in time to invite some of the other friends to come and, and visit. And so then we cut back to the bachelorette party, and we see Janice now is in her, supervillain Beetle costume, as well as some of the other friends who are, part of her supervillain team. And we see Black Cat and Janice kind of chatting. And Janice, kind of makes the remark about Randy being really into her and wanting her, or asking her to stop being, the bad person, the Beetle that she's been, because he really cares for her. And Black Cat kind of realizes that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has never really asked her to do that. So again, we cut back then to Randy and Peter, and their night's kind of going on, and Randy kind of figures out that Peter is basically covering that. A lot of the other friends basically didn't show up, couldn't make it, and Peter was kind of taking the blame. And, Randy kind of realizes that and thanks him for, kind of being the fall guy and not letting him in on the kind of the bad news, right? If your friends don't show up for your bachelor party, it's kind of a not a fun thing. And then we see Felicia show up, and she's obviously been drinking, and she basically breaks up with Peter Parker. And so, and her reasoning is that, he maybe just doesn't really care for her as much as what she's seen between Randy and Janice. Very quickly, they have kind of broken up. And then we cut to Randy being home, and somebody's in his apartment, and it's the Beetle, and she is looking for some single lady action, if you know what I mean. And then we cut to the wedding, and Peter is the best man, and so he's doing his best man duties as the best man and usher, and seating people at the wedding. And so this causes a little bit of a conflict because, we see some of the villains roll in, Hammerhead and others, and his spider sense is kind of going off a little bit. And then we cut to Randy and his dad, Robbie, and they're getting ready. This kind of back and forth before the wedding starts of what's happening with Randy and what Peter's dealing with as being the best man, and having, all of these different villains there. And so then we actually get to the ceremony where Tombstone is walking his daughter down, and then boom, in comes, I think this is Shotgun, the character, not familiar with this character, and we have a problem. They're looking to rub out Tombstone and maybe grab power here in New York City. And so we see Tombstone get shot, and it doesn't look like he's hurt, but then we do see some blood, and the wedding guests are scrambling, and we see Shotgun put a shotgun to Tombstone's head, and in comes Spider-Man. And he takes out Shotgun, knocks him out, knocks him aside. And then we see, like I said, everybody scrambling. We see Hammerhead and one of the other crime families who was giving Hammerhead a hard time in some of the earlier pages about, kind of making a hit on Tombstone. And so we see that character, and it's Madam, I'm drawing a blank on her name. It's one of the bad guys, and she drives off, and then we see Hammerhead click a button and the car blow up. And so he's taking care of his problem within the families who did not want to take out Tombstone. And then we continue to see the battle between Spider-Man and Shotgun, and he is, working and basically getting the upper hand, and then Shotgun takes off. Kind of see, the aftermath of, the wedding now broken up. And then we see this panel here with Aunt May and Peter, and Aunt May asking about, where he was. She was worried about him. And so that's the end of the main story in this issue. And then, like I said, we go to some other different storylines within this issue. We have this nice little kind of recap of Spider-Man and Miss Marvel now that Miss Marvel has been resurrected in the whole X-Men story, and this kind of nice moment between them. They're kind of, going over everything that had occurred, and, her death and her coming back, and now that she's part of the X-Men. And then we see that Spider-Man reveals himself to her, and she's, can't believe it because she worked with him at Oscorp, and, the whole backstory that was going on. So just kind of a nice little ending to that storyline. And then the next storyline is we cut to the bar with no name, and we see Doc Ock there with a bunch of other villains, and he's working on something. And ultimately, this little story was to make Doc Ock realize that for the plan or the technology that he's working on, he was better equipped when he was the superior Spider-Man. And so he basically says, look, I need to return to the superior Spider-Man to finish this plan. So interesting little tidbit there. I think we've known that the superior Spider-Man is coming back. So, and then we cut to Mary Jane and Paul, and they're meeting with a therapist. They're dealing with the aftermath of losing their children that they adopted when they were in a different realm. And so we just see that, kind of what's going on with them. And we see the police are questioning them about the kids. Where are they? And so, and we see this kind of strain a little bit on their relationship that, they're both dealing with it in different ways. And then we cut to Felicia Hardy now being here with Mary Jane because they're kind of buddy-buddy now with some of the recent events that they've gone through. And ultimately, Felicia is telling her that Mary Jane that she needs to kind of get back out there, and she leaves a present for her. And what we come to find out that it is a suit for her new acquired powers. We see the first really page of Mary Jane as Jackpot in costume. And then we cut to another story here where we're back with the bar with no name. We see Taskmaster there, and then we see in walks Spider-Woman Jessica Drew, and she is basically out for blood. I haven't been reading her storyline, but I do know she recently had a child, and her child is lost. And so she's basically pulling no punches, and she is on the hunt to find out where her child is. That's the storyline there, and it's all going to lead to a new Spider-Man, Spider-Woman series. And so there's some other different storylines, a couple 2-3 page stories. None really have a big impact on anything going on except for maybe 2. All right, so then our next story, let's fast forward to this next story with Queen Goblin and Kraven the Hunter. And we see them kind of having a little bit of a battle. But ultimately, I'm not making this up, it's what's in the book. They hook up. They're basically shack up here. And we see that Kraven and Queen Goblin have gotten together. And it's to be continued in the next issue. So, and then finally, there's this last story. And I'm not sure who this is. Somebody mentioned that this might be Kingpin. So I don't know what this is. So if you know, let me know down in the comments. But ultimately, it is a preview for the most notorious Spider-Man story ever told returns. I'm not really sure what that is, but we shall see. Let's tackle the main storyline. Overall, not too bad. There's this power struggle that's going on with Tombstone, being in charge, but some of the other Hammerhead feeling that he may be distracted with the wedding of his daughter, and so looking to try to gain power within New York City. Kingpin, like I said, is not around. He kind of left being the mayor and went off, so I haven't seen him recently. So, I don't know where this is going to lead, but it obviously looks like there's some type of power struggle between the families. Could we have Kingpin's return, maybe to restore order? Who knows? But we did have, the 2 big things. I think we have Black Cat and Peter Parker breaking up. So I don't know if that's going to lead to, Peter maybe going back, at Mary Jane. But Mary Jane is dealing with, the fallout of losing the children that she kind of adopted with Paul. But now she has powers. So, and she's donning a costume and, assuming that she's going to go out and fight crime. Now she has much more in common with Peter than she ever has. So who knows where this is going to lead. And then obviously we see this this union of the Queen Goblin and Kraven the Hunter. So we'll have to see where this all goes. But a lot of little threads I felt like being dropped in this oversized issue to lead to future storylines. So, overall, my 5 webhead review system, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I'm going to go with a 3, right in the middle, or a little bit better than middle, a 3. Overall, not too bad. I think they did set up a bunch of different things. I thought the Black Cat Peter breakup was kind of very quick, but, given the talk that Black Cat had with Janice and seeing a wedding coming together, maybe that's the information that she needed to kind of push her to break up with Peter. So, but that's all I've got for you. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this book. How are you reading the story? I do feel like the storyline has turned a little bit, headed in the right direction. I don't think it's still super, but it's much better than it was in some of the earlier stuff. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll see you for issue 32.